You may recall that last September the good folks at Aquascape Inc. and Edenton Outdoors built this amazing pond in our yard. It's a 1,500 gallon that's actually built on the side of our house that has 4 small waterfalls, an amazing stacked slate sphere water feature, and a couple of really cool hiding places for the fish. This pond was expertly built by 3 guys from Edenton Outdoors in just 2 days. It was amazing to watch it all come together so fast. This was 2 days of watching what real hard work looks like. And let me tell you, they did an incredible job. To be honest, when I found out that Micah, the owner of Edenton Outdoors, was sending his little brother Jim to build it, I was thinking, oh geez, he's sending his little brother. This can't be good. I could not be more wrong. Jim is a wizard, and his ability to spot the perfect rock to fit in a specific spot is awe-inspiring. He'd explain how he's going to do things, and I'd be like, okay, whatever. But once it was done, I was like, oh, I see what you were saying. Now listen, I believe wholeheartedly that when someone is exceptional at what they do, they deserve to be shouted out for it. Jim showed up as Micah's little brother, but by the time he was done, I was calling him Gandalf the Rock Wizard. I actually never said that. I just like to work in Lord of the Rings references whenever I can. Not long after the pond was completed, Micah hit me up and said, hey, I just had a lady call me that bought a house that has an abandoned pond in the backyard. She wanted to know if I could come get the fish. You want to meet me there and get them? I said, yeah. I met Micah in Virginia Beach on a day there happened to be a really bad storm rolling through, but we had to get this done. I squeezed my big old butt in some leaky waders that Micah had. We drained the pond and pulled 24 goldfish and 4 huge koi out of it. After that, Micah came down to North Carolina in the pouring down rain, and we introduced the fish into their new home. While he was here, we also added some plants that Lisa and I had picked up from Lowe's, along with a few that we robbed from the pond in Virginia Beach. So that's the story of how we got this pond and how we got the fish. This was all back in the early fall of 2023. It's now the summer of 2024. How are things holding up? Well, I'd say it's holding up pretty daggone well, but it hasn't been a cakewalk to get to this point, and the project is still far from done. There's been a lot of joy in this pond. There's been some heartbreak, and yes, some frustrations, but I can honestly say none of it's the fault of the pond. That's what I want to focus on for the rest of this video, so you know what you might be getting into if you choose to put one of these in your backyard. First things first, let me talk about the fish. They've been amazing, with the exception of one. These fish were super skittish when we first got them. I guess when you spend all that time in an abandoned pond that was so black the sun would barely peek through, you'd be skittish after being taken out and put into a brand new super clean pond too. It took months to get them to stop scurrying away whenever I walked up, and to be honest, sometimes they still do. But the amazing thing is, if I go to the right spot, they know it's feeding time and they start behaving the way all goldfish do. I can confidently say that they got more comfortable and more aggressive at feeding time when I switched their food. I'm not going to say the brands of food that I tried when I first had them, because I'm not in the business of disparaging brands, but I will tell you about what I'm feeding them now. I had a conversation with my good friend Chris Klein, who's the owner of Carolina Aquatics, which is our primary distributor we buy products from to sell on our website. He's also a koi expert and major distributor that sells thousands and thousands of koi a year. I told him they weren't really eating, and he said, well, hey, this is the perfect time for me to send you some of the koi food I just developed. The brand is Fisher's Aquatics, which is named after his son, which is absolutely adorable. This is a formula Chris created to be an all-in-one food, providing absolutely everything koi need to thrive. And let me tell you, it works. He sent me a couple of bags of different size pellets to test out, which I mixed up in a bag, and as soon as I start feeding it, the fish's attitudes completely changed. Now they come up to the edge at feeding time and the food is gone in no time. If you've never watched a koi eat, I just gotta say, it's one of the most hilarious things in this hobby. The way they eat is so silly, I could watch it all day long. If you're interested in getting more information about the Fisher's Aquatics food or you want to buy some, I'll have a card on the screen right now that'll take you right to it. Yeah, that's right. I'm so impressed with this food that we decided to pick it up and make it available to our followers at keepfishkeeping.com. If you know anything about me and my website, I don't carry products that I don't use myself. I feed this food to my pond every single day, so it's natural that we pick it up, even if it's the only pond product we carry on the site. Maybe we should change that? Let me know if you'd like to see more pond products available on our site. All right, let's get back on track. You see the pond and how it's looking today. It's come a long way since we got it, and I'm thrilled with the progress. Lisa's done an amazing job planting all the stuff around it. We've added the mulch and the gravel, and it's looking really good. It's not perfect, but it's getting there. But it hasn't been smooth sailing the entire time. Unfortunately, we've got to talk about some struggles I've had with this, and one major heartbreak. I guess we'll get the sad story over with first. We had a loss in the pond. Now, I know what I'm about to say is going to rub a lot of people the wrong way, but put yourself in my shoes and I think you'll understand. When you have a pond with 24 goldfish that most likely was purchased as feeder fish and 4 huge koi, if you have to lose one of those 28 fish, I'm willing to bet that 99.9% of you would hope that would be one of the goldfish and not the koi. And I agree. It's not that I don't love goldfish. I think Lisa and I have shown we have a deep love for them. So it's not like I look at them as throwaway fish. I'm just saying if I got to lose one of the 28 fish, I'd rather it be one of the 24 goldfish instead of the koi. Well, we don't always get what we want, and unfortunately late last year we lost one of the koi. Some of you may recall I named the 4 koi Greg, Ed, Micah, and Jim after the 4 guys that made this pond happen for me, and well, I'm sorry, Ed, but this was your namesake that passed. It totally sucks too, because this was an absolutely incredible fish. What happened to him? I have no idea. One day he was fine, the next day he had a super bloated belly and we medicated him, and the next day he was gone. And well,
that's all I have to say about that.
This isn't the only hardship we've had either. This spring, I was going crazy when this thing went from looking nice over the winter to looking like a bowl of pea soup. So here's what happened. Winter here in Northeast North Carolina is mild. We don't really have any freezing conditions here except for maybe a couple of weeks in December or January where it might drop below freezing at night. Otherwise, it's pretty much hoodie weather all winter long. In fact, I never wore more than a hoodie even once this last winter. Well, I wore pants too. Come on, don't be ridiculous. During the winter months, the pond just kind of does its thing. The fish just chill down at the bottom and wait for things to warm up again. If you live in an area that's a colder climate, you'll have a completely different winter pond experience. I'm just telling you how it is here. So when we got to April and May, when things really started to warm up here, all hell broke loose in this pond. Super thick algae started to grow on everything and the water turned green. It was an absolute nightmare and it happened really fast. Well, this is where I made my first mistake with this pond. I decided on a Saturday to get this thing under control and I went after it like I would an aquarium. If you have a big algae bloom in your fish tank, what would your first reaction be? Do a big water change and clean that algae off of everything. Well, that's exactly what I did in the pond. I used my Ceche Ultra Zero to drain about 50% of the water out, and I used a garden hose to spray the thick algae off of the rocks and then filled it back up again, and guess what? It looked amazing. For about 4 days, and everything came right back again. It was as if I hadn't done anything. See, here's the thing. Ponds are very different than aquariums. When you have an issue with a pond, your strategy to correct it is very different than with an aquarium. I knew that, but when this water turned green, I panicked and did what I thought was right and wasted an entire day. I called Micah again and said, hey, Let me tell you what my dumbass did, and then maybe you can tell me what I should have done. Micah explained that I need a few things to get this algae problem under control. I needed beneficial bacteria, live plants, and most important of all, patience. The beneficial bacteria will help keep the nitrogen cycle intact and keep everything that's alive in the water happy, and the plants will outcompete the algae for nutrients, basically starving it out. With this information, I did two things. I ordered a can of beneficial bacteria from Aquascape and told Lisa we need plants in the pond. I swear Lisa was so happy you'd have thought I told her to put on her Sunday best, because we're going to Sears. So the bacteria from Aquascape came a couple days later, and I started adding a scoop each day, and Lisa added these, and these. I know it's not much, but at least it's something, and about 2 weeks later, the pond looked like this. How do I remember this picture was taken 2 weeks later? Well, that's because one of our subscribers and customers, Finsanity, that you'll probably see down in the comments, reached out to me saying he was going through the exact same problem. I said, hey, this is perfect timing because 2 weeks ago, my pond looked like this, and now it looks like this. And I explained the process. When you look at the pond now, it looks really good, even after going through the issues with the algae a while back. All of the plants around it have exploded. The water's clear, and yeah, the weeds between all the plants are thriving too. I swear it takes a week to go around and pick all the weeds around this thing, and by the time you get all the way around, they're growing back again, and you got to start all over. Lisa and I have decided that the best way to resolve this is to just keep planting and adding to it, and eventually the weeds will be all covered up. It sounds like the lazy way out, but hey, you come here and get down on your knees on that gravel to pick weeds every day, and let's see how you feel. It'll take some time to fill it in 100%, but that's the fun of it. We'll just add a little more each year, and before you know it, you won't even be able to see any of the gravel or mulch. This pond has been an absolute joy for us. Yeah, maybe not 100% of the time, but overall, I couldn't be happier with how it looks, how the fish are doing, and how it makes me feel. I know it sounds cheesy, but to come out here and sit in one of these blue chairs in the evening is what life's all about. Oh, and I gotta send out a very special shout out to my wife. Hasn't she done an amazing job with all the plants in and around this thing? It looks incredible, and it's all her. Well, except for the weeping willow. That's the only thing out here that I picked. And in case you're worried about that tree getting too big, hanging over the pond and dropping leaves in it, well, it's probably going to take 20 years before it's that big, so to be honest, I'm not worried about it. By that time, it'll be someone else's problem. Oh, and let me just say this real quick for the folks that have stuck around here till the end. Next week's video is going to blow up the internet. I'm going to piss a lot of people off and might even put myself in danger by uploading it, but hey, I got to take one for the team because I have to say what's right. If you're not subscribed, you might want to do that because this video is going to mix things up a bit. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to click that link if you want to check out the Fisher's Aquatics koi and goldfish food, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. See ya!